ESPN. You're watching the American Conference on ESPN. Two AAC rivals getting set to tangle here tonight. Number 19, Cincinnati, 12-2, 1-0 in the American, getting set to tangle with the Temple Owls, who come in at 7-6 overall and still in search of their first conference victory. Well, great to have you on board, as always, alongside LaFonso Ellis. I am Roy Philpott. And Fonz, we talk about the American this year, one of the more improved leagues in the country. Maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 teams in the big dance come March.
Yeah, I think we'll see 5. And we talk about a Cincinnati team that has done a great job of establishing the culture of this league. Now you add a strong Wichita State. I think the next 3 spots will be Temple, SMU, and Houston. What a league.
It's a very strong conference. And leading the way for the Bearcats this year, we start in the front court. Gary Clark, Kyle Washington, 2 of the best not only in this league but also potentially in the country.
Gary Clark, so versatile. They can play him at 3 different spots: small forward, power forward, or at the center spot. An outstanding rebounder. And Kyle Washington, he's instant offense for them down in the low block. They need him to get started early and often in the low post.
Bearcats have won 5 in a row. Meanwhile, for Temple, Quentin Rose, a sophomore from New York, streaky shooter, but averaging over 16 points per game. He's got to shoot it effectively tonight. Fonzie can beat you in a number of different ways,
at
too.
6'8" and 185 pounds, his ability to be able to take you off the bounce and get to the rim, fantastic. And at 6'8", he can see over the top the defense. Excellent vision underneath. And just when you think you have him under control, how about 40+% from the three-point line? He's going to have to be huge tonight.
Got to play well for Temple to have a chance to pull off the upset here at home. Just about set, ready to go. Winter Storm Grayson wreaking havoc with the crowd here tonight in attendance, but we are here. We're ready to talk some college hoops. Opening tap, controlled by the Owls of Temple.
Cincinnati loves to switch defensively, so look for these little slip cuts to the basket. They'll be available for Temple.
Bearcats won both matchups last year. As you take a look at the starting 5. First for Cincinnati, and inside, Flackby, the first basket of the night. A good start for Temple.
Yeah, been in a little foul trouble lately, but I love the fact that Temple's trying to establish early a physical presence down in the low box.
Big story for Temple. They've lost 4 out of 5 Fonz, and poor shooting has been one of the culprits. They've played a very difficult schedule this year, one of the most difficult in the nation. And it's not rocket science, it's basketball. They got to make some shots, especially from deep, to have a chance.
Absolutely.
Washington, the NC State transfer, off the mark, but the rebound put up and in by Gary Clark.
Second in the league in offensive rebounding. They have to know where he is and get a body on Gary Clark.
Facing that 3/4 court pressure. This time the Owls handle it. Josh Brown, his first basket.
And that's where Temple's going to have to take advantage, is once they get through the first wave of that pressure, they have to attack the back man, which will be the 5-man. Excellent execution there in the full court by Temple.
Just over 1 minute in, Cincinnati will be without its backup point guard tonight. Kane Broome misses 2nd consecutive game with an ankle injury. Floater is good. Should make that Justin Jennifer. He's taken over that starting point guard role this year for the Bearcats, and he's done it at a high level.
Roy, because of how good that full court pressure of Cincinnati is, when Temple can force them to miss shots or turn it over, I think they got to get out and run.
And Echionia goes to work in the paint. No more for his outside shot. That's a big basket early for his confidence.
Well, you can see what Temple is trying to do here early. They're really trying to establish the low post area, because if they can get consistent production from there early, now Cincinnati's going to have to sink back inside and have to open up some great shots from the perimeter.
6-4, just over 2 minutes in. Inside the Liacouras Center. Washington thought about it. Inside, throws up an air ball. Owls have started out perfect 3 for 3 from the field, all of those from the paint. Echionia, another good sign. He's got 5.
Well, and that's what happens when you can see the basketball go through the rim up close. Now it opens up your confidence to be able to knock down perimeter jump shots. I applaud the guards of Temple for finding their big man out on the perimeter.
And Echionia, the senior from Springfield, Virginia, 11 points per game coming in. Here's Jacob Evans III. Contested jumper, back iron.
And those are the kind of shots that Fran Dunphy wants them to take as they turn it over there.
Cumberland leads the fast break. Evans the up and under. And outside here's Jennifer for three, all net.
High percentage shot when you can get that basketball down in the painted area, either off of offensive rebound or a post and kick it out. High percentage three-point shot there.
Jennifer now with 5.
Temple's got to continue to go inside.
And that's what they'll do off the glass, off the mark. There's a Flackby. Bearcats will slow things up. Jennifer rejected from behind. And Inechionya picks up his first personal. Well, Fran Dunphy now in year number 12 here in Philadelphia with the Temple Owls. 2-time American Athletic Conference Coach of the Year. 7 times he's taken him to the NCAA tournament. And despite the 7-6 record, Joe Lenardi, our resident bracketologist, tells us that Temple right now would be on the bubble with the win tonight. Take a couple of steps up.
Well, you talk about a team that's 7-6, but you're talking about a team that has played against some of the better competition in the country. 3rd strongest schedule in the nation, non-conference.
When you think about it like this, Temple the only team to defeat nationally ranked Clemson, the only team to defeat Auburn, which is on the verge of being ranked as well.
Yeah.
And 2 very important wins to help boost that resume.
And that'll give them some much needed confidence as they get into American play, because they played against some of the elite programs. And when you can find yourself successful against them, that gives you confidence going in league play.
10 to shoot for Josh Brown. Probing, elbow jumper. And the battle for the rebound, out of bounds, held possession. It'll go over to Cincinnati. Now Justin Jennifer scored the last 7 Bearcat points. We're tied at 9 here in North Philly.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Land Rover. Above and beyond.
Chilly night here in Philadelphia. About 5 inches of snow in the area. Tied at 9. With Alfonso Ellis, Roy Philpott, fantastic to have you on board tonight. This critical American Athletic Conference matchup. Mick Cronin also in his 12th season directing traffic for the Bearcats. And Cincinnati graduate, grew up in Cincinnati. And tell you what, this may be one of his better teams, which says a lot. But I think it right now, Fonz, it's certainly his most explosive team on offense, which spells trouble for the rest of this conference.
Yeah, and it's been interesting to see them get 5 more possessions per game this year compared to last year, yet they've been able to maintain their defensive intensity. Most teams that get better offensively usually slip on the defensive end, not so for the Fighting Mick Cronins.
Yeah, you think about the Bearcats, you naturally think about their defense, their tenacity, toughness, rebounding. All of those aspects are still here, except now they've got more offensive weapons.
A lot more firepower. 6 guys shooting 38% or better from 3.
Right on cue, there's Kyle Washington.
Including that guy.
Boy, he's a good-looking player, a senior.
Doesn't take a lot of threes, but he's shooting 44% from the three-point line on the year.
Over 10 points per game. Owls will go to their motion offense against this zone. We see a lot of times from Cincinnati, who's in the midst of an 8-0 run. Contested triple off the mark by Rose. And Cincinnati takes over. Well, Bearcats coming in at 12-2. Their lone losses against Florida, Xavier. We mentioned the scoring is up. Defense really hasn't gone anywhere, and the 5.1 more possessions this year is good news if you're a fan of the Bearcats.
Well, this guy with the basketball in his hands, Justin Jennifer, number 3 in black, he brings a lot of pace and speed to the game, and so it allows them to not only get out and pressure you, but allows them to get out in transition and get buckets as well.
Was the backup to Troy Copain. This time has his pocket pick. And Nate Pierre-Louis just checked in. Will steal it from Jennifer, who picks up his first personal.
And Nate Pierre-Louis comes off the bench. Tough defensive player, brings it big energy, an excellent defensive player and hard nose, and you saw the quick hands on that possession there. I think Temple can't get away from getting that basketball inside. When they've been able to establish an inside presence, it opens up their perimeter game. Can't just rely on the J.
Feed the post. Damian Moore goes to work. Sweet dish inside as Brown draws the contact. He'll shoot two. Jacob Evans picks up the personal. That's his first.
Yeah, I like what we're seeing here from Temple on the offensive end. When they throw the basketball into the post area, they're not just standing on the weak side and at the top. They're cutting through, because teams that stand, it allows Cincinnati to guard you more easily. Temple doing a nice job here early in the first half.
Brown at 77% from the line this year. Team captain. One of the best defenders for Fran Dunphy's team.
Yeah. Last year played only 5 games due to an Achilles tendon injury back in May of 16, and they really missed him.
Our veteran officiating crew, Roger Ayers, Don Daly, and Steve Holson, checking something out here at the scorers table. Mentioned the Temple Owls this year, the only team to defeat Clemson, only team to defeat Auburn. 12-10 ball game. They may change the foul, we're being told, from Jacob Evans.
I'm trying to figure out if they're looking at a timing issue. Checking to see who the foul is on here.
If it is Evans, that's his first.
Let's take a look at this and see if we can pick it up inside. Nice little cut inside, and boy, that looked like Gary Clark, number 11, to me.
So Clark be charged with his first foul. Free throw will count, and Brown makes both. '29th meeting between these two rivals. Bearcats have won 5 of 7. And inside off the glass, Washington too strong. Brown skies for the board.
Yeah, with 2 guys around him, he's got to make that pass. Garrett Clark was wide open to his left side there for a 3-point shot.
Inside out is Rose with a sweet dish. And Nate Pierre-Louis continues his hot hand.
50% from the 3-point line on the year. Boy, he's giving them a tremendous lift off the bench. Known for his defensive ability, when he can give them some buckets on the offensive end, as he has over the last 2 games, averaging 11 points per game. It's a tremendous lift.
Stop and pop for Evans. Pierre-Louis has had the hot hand. He mentioned 11 points his last time out, 11 points the game before that. Losses to Houston and Tulane, both of those games his career high. Maybe replacing Alani Moore the second as well in that rotation for Coach Dunphy. Inside and out of bounds. Stay with Temple. And Echionia may have touched it last.
And folks, these are the kind of plays that you have to make against this stout defense. Little dribble penetration, so many bodies around the basketball, and we talked earlier in the open about his ability to be able to see over the top. Quentin Rose, beautiful pass to the corner and knocking it down. They've got to continue to attack and move the rock.
Brown, silky smooth from the baseline.
Tell you what, it looks good on that pull-up jumper there.
He's got 6 already.
After that Achilles tendon tear back in May of 2016, he's only about 85% of the way back. You can't tell as much on the offensive end, but it doesn't quite move as well as he has laterally, but he looks pretty good tonight.
Pierre-Louis thought he had a steal, nearly did. Tapped out, it'll stay with the Bearcats. 7 to shoot.
Partner Garrett Clark has been awfully quiet here in the game. After he gets a blow here and comes back into the game, Cincinnati's got to get number 11 involved in the offense.
Always does a great job on the offensive glass. He had that one stick back early.
Yeah.
And that's how he kind of makes his living. He's also done a great job at the charity stripe this year, improving his outside shot.
Yeah.
Contact, but no whistle. Jacob Evans looking for the foul here, and he'll get it. Pierre-Louis picks up his first, and that's 3 free throws.
That's a veteran player there. Able to draw that foul. Jacob Evans, a junior, has been around for a little while, and he could sense that Pierre-Louis was a little bit overconfident there. Gave him a little shot fake bit on it and able to draw the contact. Nicely done by the junior. Folks, watch this. This is exactly what you do against an over-aggressive defensive player. Just give him a little shot fake, show him the basketball there, launched into his cylinder area, and that's a really nice job by Jacob Evans there.
One more free throw coming. Jacob Evans, the third, just 44 points away from 1,000 in his Cincinnati career. Check this out. That'll be the fourth Bearcat on this roster. It'll be a 1,000-point score. So you've got senior leadership, senior production. Very dangerous team as conference play continues this month.
And that's been a model for Mick Cronin. Bring them in, get them old, and then allow the young guys to come and learn from the older veterans who've been around. And he's done a tremendous job ever since he's taken over the Cincinnati program. Got to get something going to the hole.
Shiz Austin Jr. His father played here at Temple in the mid-90s.
Levan, pretty good basketball player himself.
Not bad at all. Rose, the pump fake, and the step back.
Tough shot.
Just grazed the rim. Stepping out of bounds is Moore. Back to the Bearcats.
Notice they got started early, Temple, getting the basketball into the post, establishing the low post. Now all of a sudden everything's become a jump shot. They got to get in the low post, and when they can't get in the low post, they got to dribble drive the basketball and look to kick it to the weak side. They've had success in both areas.
Bearcats give it right back. Trayvon Scott traveled. Well, our fifth tie of the evening, 16 points apiece here in Philly.
You got two dominant physical teams.
Big boy Deron Payne with the ball. How about it? Sonny Michel will send the Dogs home to the championship game. Georgia and Alabama for the College Football Playoff National Championship.
Coming up Monday night, dynamic rushing attack of the Georgia Bulldogs, led by Nick Chubb, Sonny Michel. Well, look at the numbers and the double overtime win in the Rose Bowl against OU last week.
Yeah.
Tell you what, it's going to be a lot of fun to see who prevails.
Yeah, you're talking about a stout defensive line of Alabama who really only rushed 4 guys and they look to contain. And the question is, can Georgia establish their running game early that'll open up some opportunities to be able to throw it downfield?
Here's a steal by the Bearcats, who lead the American in over 8 per contest. And Cincinnati now back to work on offense. Tapped away. Alani Moore, the second, comes out of there with it.
I thought Obi Anechionia should have run to the post area. Would have had a little small guard inside, and they could have thrown it inside to him earlier. Missed opportunity there in transition by Temple.
Damian Moore back to the basket. And then poked out of there, a late whistle. And he'll turn it over with a traveling violation. Good defense that time by Gary Clark.
Roy, and if you notice when they threw it into the post, what did we compliment them on earlier? Is they were getting cuts from the top of the floor, filling. That time when they threw it inside, everyone just stood, and it allowed Cincinnati's team to just load up against the basketball, and that's what created the travel. Watch as this basketball goes inside. Look, now they're just zoned up against it. He has nowhere to go with the basketball, and if you do that with the big who's not confident in their low post ability, it ends up being a turnover as it was there.
4 straight possessions ending in a turnover in this game and make it 5. Lonnie Moore, the second, missed the game at Houston. That 3-point setback to the Cougars. Had a time management problem, we were told earlier today. Deep triple, and it's all net. Shiz Austin Jr.
And Roy, they did exactly what we've been talking about. They threw it in the post to a fleck P, got someone to come down and double, and he was able to kick that thing out to a 40-plus 3-point shooter in Shiz Austin.
Approaching the halfway point of our first half. Inside to Clark, who only has 2 points.
Tough shot.
Contested jumper and air ball tossed up by Keith Williams. Here comes Moore. 1-on-3. And he turns it over.
What a defensive effort there by Keith Williams, number 2 in black, getting back in transition to take that one away.
And sloppy play these last couple of minutes. It'll go back to Temple. Jennifer will check back in. Evans goes out. Well, I mentioned scoring up for the Bearcats. Their defense remains solid once again in this very tough conference.
We saw them working on it today. 4-on-4, all of the different movements. They would switch, they would chase guys through, and then reform that thing. So obviously they know where they hang their hats on, and they hang their hats on their D.
Well, you were teaching me a lot about what it takes to be able to switch successfully on these high ball screens, and a lot of times you got to go shoulder to shoulder to make sure you're not giving up an inch. As Temple, they're going to shoot some deep threes, contested triples.
Indeed.
And because of that, you got to be very careful when you switch.
Isolation here.
Alston Jr., his second triple in as many possessions.
18 points per game over the last 2 games for a guy that averages 15. And what they're doing here is they know that they're switching Cincinnati, and they're isolating their bigs out on the perimeter. Good recognition there by the Owls.
Largest lead for Temple at 6, approaching 9 to play. Williams in traffic, another air ball. And saved by Washington right off the face of a Flackby. And that one's going to leave a mark. Trevor Moore checks in. Keith Williams goes out.
With Moore coming in, they have a little bit more three-point shooting out there on the floor. He's a 3-and-D guy, so Temple's going to have to identify where he is.
Yeah, 47 shots he's taken this year. 41 of those have been from distance. Cumberland off the mark and a foul on the floor. Mick Cronin talked about Trevor Moore, and he said he's the best shooter that he's signed in his 12 years at Cincinnati. Mick Cronin doesn't throw out that kind of commentary all that often, but speaks volumes about his potential.
Indeed.
As Dre Perry picks up his first. Moore inside, lost it. Another jump ball.
I'll tell you what, Fran Dunphy talked about the big key to this game is his guys had to show some toughness, and we've seen that from the Isles here. When that basketball's on the floor, they are diving after those 50-50 balls. They've really established a physical and aggressive tone to this game, and I think it started early when they was throwing that basketball inside to their bigs.
That's conference play, really, in a nutshell. And you think about these two teams, that's what you would expect. You're going to have to play that way to have a chance. Deep three for Brown, front rim. And a foul inside against the Bearcats.
And folks, Fran Dunphy told us that they had to have some toughness tonight. Watch when this basketball goes on the floor. You can reach for it or you can get on the floor. Temple is getting on the floor, and that's a nice job by Washington of Cincinnati of not just giving it up too. Nice job by both teams. He
comes up short. It's a crutch match down there. A scrum, both players hitting the deck. Washington inside. He's a good-looking player. Can go inside out, and he now has 5. With three-quarter court pressure, and Austin's going to call a timeout. Fran Dunphy will talk things over. 22-18 our score, 8:15 remaining here in our first half in Philadelphia. Chris, thank you very much. Back in Philadelphia, 4-point advantage for the Owls. And I would agree with this, that Temple, maybe not in desperation mode just yet at 7-6, but at 0-2 in the American. And with a big opportunity tonight, there is a sense of urgency surrounding Temple basketball right now.
And we've seen it expressed in toughness. We've seen it on the defensive end, aggressively getting after the basketball. Really what's hurt Cincinnati here earlier is they have 7 turnovers, and Temple's turned those turnovers into 8 points, and that's really the difference in this game right now.
Second foul on Kyle Washington, who steps out. Wichita State a crushing win against Houston earlier tonight.
Wow.
Shockers have changed the dynamic in the American this year.
I think you mentioned to me that Brady was out for Houston, so that took away their post game. 21 against Temple.
Well, he exploded in that contest. Flackby off the mark. Fresh 30 for Perry, back iron.
Yeah, I thought Perry should have made one more pass to Josh Brown, who was wide open in the left corner.
Perry missed the last game with back soreness. Now is good to go. Bearcats crushed Memphis, excuse me, their last time out. 82-48. 7 to shoot. Evans, contested jumper is good.
He's so good coming off those ball screens. His reads are beautiful. If the big steps up, he makes the pass. If the big stays back, he takes that 15-foot jump shot. I love watching him in ball screen situations.
Junior for Baton Rouge now with 6.
His mom, Teresa, was a pretty good player at Grambling as well.
Grambling State had a quadruple-double performer last night. Shaquilla Hill. It's the 4th time in women's basketball history. Pump fake. There's the late whistle. 3 free throws upcoming for Austin Jr.
And folks, watch Jacob Evans, who actually was only 5'9" in the 8th grade, so he has point guard ability. Coming off this screen, the big stays low, and sometimes guards overcomplicate that. If the big stays back, you take the shot. What a beautiful read there by Jacob Evans.
Gary Clark can't believe that he went for that fake. It's his 2nd personal.
Yeah. And that really hurts his aggressiveness on both ends of the floor because he's so good on the offensive glass. And usually when you get that 2nd foul, it takes away your aggressiveness. Remember, Kyle Washington, instant offense in the post, is already on the bench with 2 fouls for Cincinnati.
Austin made 52 free throws in a row between last year and this season. Don't forget, Saturday on ESPN, we'll have 2 great ACC matchups headed your direction. Number 12, North Carolina, 8th ranked Virginia in Charlottesville. Game will tip off at 1 o'clock Eastern. Then in the nightcap at 8, Marvin Bagley III, 2nd ranked Duke, will take on NC State and Raleigh. Both games also streaming live on the ESPN app.
North Carolina is going to have to make a lot of threes against Virginia. Isaiah Wilkins really is the anchor of that stout Virginia defense, and so they're going to have to make extra passes and be able to knock down perimeter jump shots to win that one.
And Tar Heels coming off that road loss at Florida State. Austin 2 of 3 at the stripe. Temple gets it back. The 4-point advantage. Negionia, too strong. The Flackby inside, and he connects.
I like what we're seeing from a Flackby. Scored earlier in the low post. He's been aggressive on the defensive end, and I love when he's crashing that offensive glass. He's been very aggressive here early.
Approaching 6 to go in the first half. A pump fake. Bad pass picked off by a Flackby.
And this is where the perimeter players of Cincinnati are going to have to take over the game. Their best 2 bigs are on the bench.
Austin Jr. comes up short 2-on-2. Jacob Evans a spin. And a traveling violation. Trayvon Scott, the guilty party that time.
Yeah, and Jacob Evans is apologizing to him right now. You never, as a guard, want to put your big in a situation like that. Jacob Evans, once he made that change of direction, he had the guard on his shoulder. He's got to go up and finish that shot.
How about 9 first-half turnovers already for Cincinnati? Usually
pretty good with the basketball. The last time they turned it over this much, it was against Florida, where they had 21 turnovers. Florida turned those 21 turnovers into 27 points, and that was really the big key to that game. How about a Flackby getting on the floor?
Getting after it.
Come on now.
6 on the shot clock. Behind the back, and a Flackby kicked it out of bounds.
Yeah, I thought that play should have been to a Negionia, who was wide open in the left corner over there. A little tight little window there to try to sneak that one through to a Flackby. Missed opportunity there for Temple.
Bearcats only 7 made field goals so far. One more look.
And folks, watch number 0 for Temple, Negionia in the corner. Once that basketball got down below, now he fades out. And as they dribble drive that thing in there, he is open. And you got to just float out of bounds and make that little hook pass over there, and they would have been able to get something nice.
And Jennifer out of control, but somehow got the bailout whistle. Number 3 in black, back to the stripe.
Yeah, it has to be a perimeter game now offensively for Cincinnati with their 2 bigs over on the sideline, Gary Clark and Kyle Washington. Cumberland's been quiet so far in this game too, 34 in black.
Lonnie Moore picks up his first. Jennifer this year at the stripe, 76%.
Yeah.
Waited for his time to shine after backing up Troy Copain the last couple of years. Good player to learn from.
Yeah. Last year, excellent with the Rocks, 68 assists, to only 16 turnovers, 4.3 to 1 turnover ratio. And that they know that he can pass the rock. They want him to be a bit more aggressive on the offensive end, looking for a shot. That's the next step for number 3 in black.
Back to a 4-point game. Had snow in the Philadelphia area today. That has prevented a large crowd turnout here in North Philly. Winter Storm Grayson wreaking havoc on the East Coast. They called it a bomb cyclone this week.
Why bomb cyclone?
Well, because the pressure fell so drastically. I want to tell you, LaFonso, it's about 24 millibars in the span of 24 hours. I believe I'm right.
Look at you.
We'll double check that during our next break.
Just put you on a green screen. Come on now.
Jennifer inside travel. If there's snow in the area, I like talking about it, so it is what it is.
Yeah, that was well done, partner.
10 turnovers now for the Bearcats.
Dinner on me. Why don't you tell the people what kind of car you decided to rent?
We're not going that direction.
Was it a Camaro?
It was a Camaro. It was not the right car to rent
I guess you
when it's snowing 6 inches.
I guess you didn't hear about the bomb cyclone on that one, huh?
Do as I say, not as I do.
I got your back, buddy. You can ride with me anytime.
We appreciate that. Here's Brown off the high ball screen. Josh Brown probing.
Nice. Thought Josh Brown should have taken that shot.
4 to shoot. And got shoved out. A late whistle. Nasir Brooks picks up his first. Freshman out of Texas. Temple will be in the bonus the rest of the way. Necchionia for 3. Well, when his outside shot is falling, Temple becomes exponentially more dangerous.
Yeah, 7 for 9 from 3 against Georgia. But since then, 0 for 11 from 3 over the last 2 games. They needed him coming in, and he has produced here in the first half.
8 first half points. The lead swells to 7. Inside, Brooks short. And Necchionia the rebound, and he's shoved to the deck. So Brooks picks up his second, and Temple in business.
Shiz Alston getting it going here in the first half. Isolation situation with the big 41% from 3. Trims it from the top.
Temple leading Cincinnati, and the Owls in search of their first conference victory this season. Outside shot is falling so far.
Yeah, the last 2 losses, they were 4 of 21 from 3 against Tulane, 8 of 26 against Houston. Tonight, they've come out white hot from the 3-point line, 5 of 12 here early in the first half. And Obi Necchionia, the first basket he scored down in the post, I think really got him going. Then he hit that corner slide out 3, and he's been shooting that 3 ball with a lot of confidence in the first half. And I think it's because he established himself down in the low post early. He's playing well for the Owls.
Largest lead of the ball game for Temple. And Necchionia was the first player in the gym before the Owls shoot around earlier this afternoon. And tell you what, Fonz, he was probably out there an hour or so before they were scheduled to shoot. Asked Fran Dunphy, what do you try to do when your team maybe is slumping, especially from the 3-point arc? And he said, you know what, Roy, there's no magic formula. Just got to find a way to make some shots, take better shots. They've done that so far this evening. Stop and pop Jennifer. And tapped out with control is Perry. And Perry from coast to coast. Tapped out back to Cincinnati.
P, how about this one? 5 threes for Temple. Only 7 total field goals for Cincinnati. Not a good formula for the Bearcats.
Yeah, recipe for an upset.
You know what, too, Roy? This game is being played way too slowly. You're talking about a Cincinnati team that is explosive from the outside, and they're just kind of walking the basketball up the floor. They got to play with a little bit more pace, and that really starts with Jennifer, number 3 in black.
Yeah, just about 4 minutes now since the last Cincinnati bucket. 12 to shoot on this possession, under 3 to play in our first half. Evans thought about it, now sends it down low. Brooks, little jump hook will end the drought.
It's really a nice move by Brooks. Caught that basketball, was patient, looked middle, and then saw he's up on his right shoulder and turned to the baseline. That was beautiful.
Perry double team baseline.
Nice pass.
Skip pass. Necchionia stepped out of bounds. They'll call it travel, actually. 6 turnovers now for the Owls.
Folks, look at this. 81 points per game, second in the ACC. And tonight they have struggled to score the basketball. Only 24 points with 2.5 minutes to go before half. And you got to give a lot of credit to that Temple Owl defense because they've been active and aggressive on the defensive end.
And Mick Cronin basically implying to us earlier today that it's going to be a slugfest. He knows what they're getting into. Gary Clark told us as well that he doesn't feel like he's played his best basketball here in Philly. He's been on the bench for the majority of these first 20 minutes with a couple of fouls. Jacob Evans will try to create. 2 to shoot. Step back. Nowhere close, but Brooks on the offensive glass. And Cumberland travels.
And Roy, that shot that Jacob Evans took, those were exactly the kind of shots that Coach Fran Dunphy said he wanted them taking. They've done a great job of containing, not allowing Cincinnati to get angles to the basket, forcing them to take tough twos over the top. The defense of Temple has been brilliant here in the first half.
Lead is 5 for the Owls in search of their first American Athletic Conference victory this year. Loss on the road at Houston in their conference opener. Check that against Tulane at home before the loss at Houston. Tulane is vastly improved this year. Necchionia, a spin. Too strong. Perry clears. And a fresh 30. Brown, stop and pop. And another offensive rebound for Dre Perry, who turns it over.
Wow. Trevor Moore, the freshman, number 5, just took that basketball away from him.
Or the outstanding three-point shooter. Pump fake by Evans. Swatted out of there. How about Quentin Rose with the ups?
Did you see how quickly Quentin Rose left the ground and got to that ball? That was exceptional. Folks, watch Trevor Moore, 6'5" freshman, just ripping the basketball out of his hands. Like he's been doing that for a long time. And then on the other end, Quentin Rose, oh my gosh. What a quick reaction to get that out of here.
Well, at 6'8", 185, he should be able to jump fairly quickly.
Yes.
Right? Not a lot of weight weighing him down.
Man, that was quick.
Approaching a minute to play. Screen for Jennifer, who turns it over. Here's Quentin Rose. Oh! Nearly brought the house down, and my partner here courtside. About a 22-second differential between the game and shot clock.
Not much better than a sick, nasty dunk, man. Wow, that was impressive. That was an impressive attempt.
Quick trigger for Austin is off the mark. Cincinnati has gone ice cold in the second part of this first half. Mick Cronin's going to talk things over. 7-second differential between game and shot clock when we return. Lead for the Owls, and Quentin Rose nearly bringing down the house moments ago. And I tell you, it surprised me he got up so quickly.
It's just the goal. Look, he rips him on one end and then goes down the lane and tries to cock it on him on the other end. That may be the most spectacular unfinished play that we've seen in a while. That was really impressive by Quentin Rose. My goodness.
Well, he was destined for a SportsCenter top 10. Almost went the other way on the miss. Bearcats have 14 seconds to work with.
They also have 11 turnovers here in the first half, which has given Temple a nice lead. Another turnover by the Bearcats.
Make it 12. Shot clock is off. Inside looking for Rose. Now here's Trevor Moore. Still with plenty of time. Jennifer thought about it. Stop and pop. And the Bearcats ice cold to close down this first half. There is a whistle. We'll check the foul. We'll see what this veteran officiating crew indicates on this final possession.
Yeah, from my angle, it looked like he got fouled underneath. And they're looking to see if the foul occurred before the clock expired is what they're looking at. Let's take a look here. Shot here by Jennifer. Rebounded with about 1.6 here. Corrals it. Goes up. Yep. Should have been a foul with about 0.2 left on the clock.
That's important. In a 5-point game, a chance to add in a couple of free throws before intermission.
Yeah, because clearly momentum was on the side of Temple, and if he can knock down 1 or 2 of these free throws, now you go in down 3, different ball game psychologically. Let's see when the referee made the call here. There was the foul, but where was it acknowledged? Yeah, I think the referee may have made the call after time expired, but clearly the foul happened in regulation.
Yeah, backup officiating crew brought in to call this game today because of all the inclement weather. Most flights coming into Philadelphia were grounded.
Yeah, because, folks, it's not when the foul was committed. It's when the official makes the call. And so I felt he was fouled with about 0.2. Get fouled right here.
Right.
But watch the baseline official's arm. His arm doesn't go up until after the play. Here we go. And that's what I thought. So, good officiating by this crew. So you said this is an alternate crew?
It's an alternate crew because of all the snow. Philadelphia Airport set a ground stop for most of the afternoon. So no flights allowed in.
So why didn't you get an alternate play-by-play or an alternate color?
So that'll put Trayvon Scott at the stripe, 67% this season.
Wait, let's get to more important things. No. Did you see Roger Ayers just compliment me on my tie? No. Come on now.
Roger loves him some LaFonso Ellis.
Big free throws here by Trey Scott.
Cincinnati shooting a frigid 36% from the field these first 20 minutes, and 2 for 2 at the line will ease some of that pain. No, 29-26 our halftime score. With Temple out in front of Cincinnati. There's the tie. Boy, that's a beautiful thing. After the break, back to the studio with Chris Connor and company for the Land Rover halftime report. Stay tuned. Now 29-26 our score. Back in Philadelphia, Temple at home in search of its first conference win. With LaFonso Ellis, Roy Philpott, fantastic to have you with us as always. And see what the second half has in store for us. And it was a little unusual in the sense Temple's got a 3-point lead here at the break. Quentin Rose, its leading scorer, did not have a single point. Cincinnati couldn't throw in the ocean from the beach, yet they only trail by a possession, just as we expected.
Yes, just as we expected. Not. Obi Anecchionia, number 0 in white for Temple. Coach Fran Dunphy said he had to be big in this game. They want to establish him early in the low post, and I think this got his confidence going. Usually shoots a little bit of a fadeaway over his right shoulder. Not that one. That time a little strong hook shot. Now he's got confidence to be able to knock down the 3 ball, hit a slide behind 3 from the corner, and later one from the left side of the floor. But I thought they brought the toughness on the defensive end. They forced Cincinnati into 13 turnovers in the first half. None better than this one. And how about this near highlight there by Q out in transition? And I thought they were aggressive from the start. Beautiful passes, getting on the floor, showing a level of toughness. And that's exactly what Coach Dunphy wanted from his out team. They were terrific in the first half.
Bearcats matching their season average in a game with 13 first half turnovers. And a nice cold 36% from the field, matching the weather outside here in Philly. Start of our second half, and a quick whistle as Rose picks up his second. Cumberland also was unusually quiet in those first 20 minutes. Averages over 11 points per game and was held in check for the most part.
Yeah, and I thought when Garrett Clark and Kyle Washington picked up their second fouls and went to the bench, I thought the perimeter needed to take over the game, which meant Cumberland needed to get going. Not so in the first half, but they're going to need some production from number 34 in black here. Nice pass.
Inside to Clark, a little high-low action.
Oh, I love big-to-big passes, and none more beautifully executed than that one there from Washington to Clark.
Clark with 4, scored the first 2 points tonight. And after those 2 fouls, sat on the bench for most of the first half. First possession now for the Owls.
Good patience there offensively.
Necchionia will get it back, an open look. Count it. All net. He's been on fire in this one so far.
Yeah, he's looked very confident. And you know, sometimes he has a little bit of indecision on the offensive end. He has had none tonight, and that is a good sign for the Owls.
Owls also limiting the opposition to their lowest point total of the season. Another good sign. Cumberland comes up short and swatted at Josh Brown.
I like the early push here from Temple.
Brown attacking. Necchionia tied up by Washington. It'll stay with Temple on the held possession.
And folks, this is something that Cincinnati worked on today in shoot around. A little bit of pinch post action at the top. And now you move that basketball across in a roll. Kyle Washington eyes up. What a beautiful pass underneath to Clark. Beautifully executed there in the half court by Cincinnati.
About as beautiful as the tie you're wearing tonight, Fonz.
According to Roger Ayers, I'll take it.
Roger Ayers, our veteran official, told us he ruined a pair of good shoes stepping off the airplane here in snowy Philly.
Did you say a pair of good shoes, or did you say Gucci shoes?
I didn't want to tell the masses that it were a pair of Gucci shoes, but that's what he told us as Alston continues his hot shooting.
He could have got them from the rack at Nordstrom. It doesn't necessarily mean he had to pay $600 for them.
I mean, I'm not paying $600.
Roger Ayers over there to the right of the free throw line there.
Washington inside, and a nice patient move in the paint.
And I like what we're seeing from Cincinnati here early. Something that we talked about in the first half. They needed to establish their 2 best front court players. First, we saw Gary Clark getting one to the rim from Kyle Washington, and there Kyle Washington very patient in scoring it over the top. They need much more of that from those 2, because the strength of this team are those 2 inside their front line.
Flackby inside. Another patient finish for a big.
I tell you, I like what I've seen from a Flackby tonight. When he's caught that basketball down there, he's made quick decisions with the basketball.
Check those shoes.
How about Roger Ayers? You think he's wearing some Gucci shoes right now?
I don't think so.
You don't think Gucci makes sneakers?
I'm sure that they do, but I'm not familiar with it, honestly. Washington with 7, make it 9.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Cincinnati needs. I'd like to see them continue to get the basketball to those 2 bigs. Let's see. No, those don't look like Gucci. I think those are maybe Nike. What do you think?
It's above my pay grade. That's all I know. Brown directing traffic. Temple leads by 4. And working against that matchup zone. Mick Cronin doesn't like it when you call it a matchup zone. They'll filter back to a man-to-man defense on any given possession. We know this, it's aggressive, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but sometimes you gotta give a title to something, and it's clearly a 2-3 zone that they match up beautifully out of as Kyle Washington goes out of the game with now his 3rd foul in this game. That's huge.
Mick Cronin told us something interesting today on Kyle Washington. He said, you know, when he scores, we can beat anybody. He's got 9 points. Despite the fact he set out the majority of the first half of those 2 personals. He's going to have to close strong here on the road.
And what that does is that takes away one of their inside scorers, and he's the chief of the 2.
Necchionia, back iron. Brooks the rebound.
Now the pressure goes on Gary Clark to get established down in the low post.
Jaron Cumberland, an aggressive move. Draws the foul, he'll shoot 2. Necchionia will pick up his 2nd.
And Roy, we said earlier that Cumberland's got to get involved in this offense, and for him, remember we talked about earlier in the first half how we didn't like the pace of Cincinnati, a team that's playing a lot faster on the offensive end. They were really comfortable just walking the basketball up the floor. What does that do? That keeps guys from like Cumberland being able to get out in transition and attack from the wing area. Got to play with pace.
Cumberland 58% at the line this year, missed the first of 2. It's so hard to win on the road, really in any conference. You hear people talk about it all the time, but in this league in particular, with these two teams as physical and as tough as they can be defensively, Cincinnati finding that out thus far.
Is that the third on Gary Clark as well?
So 3 on Washington, 3 on Clark.
Coach Cronin looks like he's going to roll the dice here and let the veteran play it out.
You like that move? It's risky.
It is risky, but I like the fact that he's guarding Nechionia because Temple doesn't post him very much. He's more of a pick and pop kind of guy. If I were Nechionia, I would try to drive Gary Clark to try to pick up his fourth.
Nechionia got away with the travel there. He dragged his pivot foot inside, short, late whistle. And it'll be a Nechionia will shoot 2. Good ball movement that time by Temple. Sear Brooks just picked up his third.
Watch Nechionia here. Grabs that thing, really patient, goes up strong with the left hand, and got a little whack there across the right side of the face. That was a good call by the official.
Got some hard fouls in this game so far.
Tell you what, coming into this game, Coach Dunphy didn't feel like he had played tough or strong underneath, and I felt tonight, though, it's been a different Obi Nechionia. He's been very aggressive, very tough-minded on the interior.
So Gary Clark now on the Cincinnati bench with 3 personals, as is Kyle Washington. Jennifer, trip from behind, and Pierre-Louis just picked up his third as well. Foul trouble on both sides. Temple leads it by 6. Four minutes into our second half, Temple leads Cincinnati by 6 here at home. And interesting development moments ago. Justin Jennifer hit the deck, and no assistance in getting up off the court for more than 4.5, maybe 5 seconds. And Fonz, I think it speaks to the nature of how out of rhythm, out of sync Cincinnati is so far tonight.
Temple's done a great job defensively of taking this team completely out of their character. Nowhere in basketball at any level does your team, if you fell on the floor right now,
You're coming after me.
I'd be out there to pick you up. No one came to pick Jennifer up off the floor. Coach Cronin was ticked.
We talked with him extensively earlier today, and you just got the sense he knew what was coming. Evans, stop and pop, too strong. Nechionia with the rebound. Here comes Temple.
You know, for as poorly as Cincinnati has played in this game, they're only down 6 on the road. They can string together a couple stops and get some baskets from their perimeter players on the offensive end as Kyle Washington checks back in this game. And they will be in good shape.
Mick Cronin just trying to find some sort of spark on both ends of the court. Washington with his 3 fouls. Perhaps will be exactly that.
Well, and again, the strength of this Cincinnati team is their front court, and that's why it was amazing to see Cumberland scoreless in the first half.
Aaron Cumberland, the sophomore from Ohio, off the glass. That shot is short. Brown corrals it. And a fresh 30 seconds.
The 9th offensive rebound in this game for Temple, who's not a good rebounding team.
Yeah, good indication of which team has been the aggressor. Nechionia will shoot 2 as he was tripped up. Well, the foul will go against Trevor Moore.
And folks, this Temple team is last in the American Conference in rebounding margin at minus 3.8, dead last, but they have been on that offensive glass here in the balance of this game. 10 offensive rebounds in this game.
Nechionia 88% at the line. And now Gary Clark checks back in with his 3 fouls.
Yeah, the perimeter players of Cincinnati have not been able to produce in the offense. It puts Mick Cronin in a position that he has no choice but to put his best players back in the game on the offensive end. And that's Gary Clark and the gentleman who just rebounded the basketball in Kyle Washington, number 24 in black. Now let's see if they can get them going here. Get the basketball to number 11 and 24 inside and let them go to work.
Right on cue. Here's Clark, the all-time leading rebounder in the American. Draw the quick double team.
He has no room to operate, though. They're just standing on the perimeter.
Jennifer out of control, hit the deck hard that time.
Right, that's a bad call.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a bad call there. That should be a no call at the very most. Folks, watch Annecchionia here, number 0 in white. Arms are up. He can be in the restricted area and jump straight up in the air. If you receive contact, it should be a no call. Missed one there, but his teammates were quick to pick him up that time after Cronin ripped him one in that last time out.
Now the foul's mounting up. Annecchionia with 3. Nate Pierre-Louis with 3 as well for Temple. Trey Perry will check back in as Annecchionia goes to the bench. Owls lead is 7. Jennifer well short.
They've left some on the line here, and that's an area where they struggle at times. They're only 67, 68% from the foul line, and they've left a few on the table. Can't do that on the road in a tightly contested game.
Temple has been the aggressor this evening. Brown, side rim. Clark the rebound.
Now they need some pace.
Evans will lob it for Washington. Strong finish inside.
See the difference there? You get Kyle Washington running in transition, establishing post early. Now they can get some easy baskets in transition, but this team struggles offensively when Washington and Clark are off the floor or in foul trouble.
Washington with 11. The lead is 5. Perry with 8 to shoot. Will feed the post. Here's Moore. No whistle, out of bounds. It'll stay with the Owls with 4 on the shot clock.
Really nice job by Garrett Clark, number 11 in black, of just staying vertical and not allowing Moore to draw that 4th foul. Nicely done by number 11 in black.
Gary Clark, the expert fisherman,
Whoa.
told us the tall tale. He's caught a 10-pound bass at one point, going back to his high school days. Rejection at the rim and the putback by Washington.
Now, I don't know much about fish, but that did not look like a 10-pound largemouth bass.
It did not. One possession game just like that. Austin Jr. free throw line is good.
Yeah, that's been the sweet spot, especially in the first half against that matchup zone there. Temple should continue to exploit that foul line area.
Approaching 13 to play.
Get out of his way. Give him some room.
They'll clear out for Clark. Contested shot in the paint. Rebound Washington. Cumberland, an open look. And Temple finally clears it. That was Perry.
Yeah, Cumberland, typically a 37, 38% three-point shooter. He has struggled from the perimeter in this game.
And Fonz, I think you're like me. You're just kind of waiting for one of those patented Cincinnati runs, especially in the second half. Hasn't happened yet.
It has not.
5 to shoot. Austin Jr. against Clark. Give it up to Pierre-Louis. And a fresh 30 offensive board by Perry. Rose. And Evans the third with a rebound.
Got to push here, look for early opportunities. Too slow there from Cincinnati.
Washington scored the last 8 Cincinnati points. Couldn't connect there. Under 12 to go. Rose, baseline, air ball.
Yeah, he has no confidence in that J right now. And folks, I love it when Cincinnati is playing fast, getting out in transition. Kyle Washington with the last 8 points. None more ferocious than this one, folks. How about this follow? Come get some. Oh, big fella.
Don't forget, Saturday on ESPN, we'll have 2 great ACC matchups. Number 12, North Carolina, 8th ranked Virginia. We'll get things underway at 1 o'clock Eastern. Then in the nightcap at 8, Marvin Bagley the third, 2nd ranked Duke, take on NC State in Raleigh. Both games also streaming live on the ESPN app.
Marvin Bagley is an absolute monster. How about back-to-back 30-point games in the PK 80? The problem with this Duke team is they can't contain the dribble drive. They won't have any issues against NC State, but that's going to be a problem for them to win the national championship.
You know, the comeback win against Florida and Portland at PK 80. The Gators went in another direction after that. Duke was preseason #1.
Yes.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Marvin Bagley III, does he remind you of anybody that's played at the next level, let's say in the last 15 to 20 years?
15 to 20.
Because when I first saw him, it kind of reminded me a little Kevin Durant and maybe Chris Bosh. Just a rangy athlete that can do so many different things.
I can see more Chris Bosh. Yeah. I was going to date myself because I was going back to somebody like Derek Coleman because of his ability to rebound the rock.
Okay. Well, Coleman was, I think of him as being more physical, perhaps, just with his size.
Equally as skilled, though.
Yeah. Temple basketball with a 5-point lead. Owls looking for their first conference victory of the year. Sit it outside. Quarter three's in and out.
So they got to get that ball up the floor. Look how slow Cincinnati is getting that basketball up the floor. They got to continue to put pressure on this Temple defense by getting up the floor quickly.
We mentioned the crowd here in Philly tonight, not what we anticipated due to all the inclement weather in the area. And it's almost like Cincinnati has fallen asleep a couple of times, but not Kyle Washington.
Kyle Washington is going to work down there, and I like how quick he's making his moves because there is a double team coming, and you got to be able to make a quick move before that double team get there. Well done by Kyle Washington.
Grabs the rebound, also has 15 points. As poorly as the Bearcats have played, only trail by 3.
Keep feeding Washington.
High ball screen for Evans. Looking for Clark. Couldn't spot him. 6 to shoot. Jennifer off the bounce. Nowhere to run. Cumberland contested triple. And a Flackby went over the back. No call. Stay with the Bearcats as Roger Ayers had the call there baseline.
Hey, Roy, you know what? Kyle Washington has 7 field goals made in this game. The rest of the team, 7 made field goals.
And he's put him on his back at times with those 3 personals.
Yeah. Where would they be in this game without him? I thought that was a really good chess move by Mick Cronin getting him back into the game, even with 3 fouls.
Halfway through the second, Clark goes to work. Temple's defense has been rock solid, up and under. Evans can't get the bounce. Brown saves it. Perry. Cumberland. Jennifer swatted. Perry got there in just the right time. 2-on-2. Pierre Louis with the finish. That'll count.
Folks, Temple's defense has been flying around all night long. Just when you think you have an easy opportunity at the basket, denied on a trail there from Devondre Perry, number 22 in white. And then they're just pushing that thing down the other end. And this is something that Nate Pierre-Louis has done a terrific job of. Out in transition, he is very difficult to guard. An opportunity for an and-1 here.
Goaltending by Clark. 4th foul on Washington, who goes back to the Cincy bench.
And that's tough because he's been their only inside game so far in this game. He's had the last 10 points for Cincinnati. That's big.
Bearcats have done a better job protecting the basketball in this second half. Flackby picks up the personal.
Big fella's been early all night long in those ball screen situations. A little late there, which is why he picked up the foul.
Fonz, you played in 1 million games in the NBA at Notre Dame back in your collegiate career. You've been a part of games where maybe your team was a bit sluggish, a little out of sync, out of rhythm. What needs to change to give the Bearcats a chance here on the road?
Yeah, easy baskets, getting out in transition and getting some easy ones. They have too good of wings and too much speed on this team to play a half-court game. And secondly, they got to control the defensive backboard. Way too many offensive rebounds for Temple.
13 as of last check. Evans launches.
Tough shot.
In the fight for the loose ball, pops out to Brooks. Open look. And the lid remains on tight.
And I will say, Roy, this is where they missed the junior in Kane Broom, a guy who's instant offense off the bench for Cincinnati. He's a guy that comes in the game and pushes the pace for Cincinnati because they've been flat for the most part in this game. And he would be a guy that really would energize this offense.
Yeah, Sacred Heart transfers, the former Northeast Conference Player of the Year. Perry the step back, a nice looking jumper from 15. But with Broom out now for the second straight game, he missed the Memphis win with an ankle sprain. That's been a significant setback for Mick Cronin's club, and he's going to call a timeout. 8-point lead for Temple, 8:15 to play here in Philly. Temple Owls in search of their first American Conference victory, and they're doing it right now, Fonz, on the offensive boards.
The toughness displayed by this Temple Owl team has been extraordinary here tonight. They have fought. They've been the first one to every single 50-50 ball when that basketball's come off the offensive glass. They've been the first one to get there. How about 14 offensive rebounds in this game for Temple? A team that's dead last in rebounding margin in the American. What a strong job on the glass tonight from the Owls.
Cincinnati coming in with a 5-game winning streak. Beat the Owls twice last year. Dominated the series. On the road struggling tonight. Here's Jennifer.
5 guys for Temple with an offensive rebound tonight.
Best shooter for the Bearcats, Trevor Moore, too strong.
Got to string together some stops and get out in transition.
Baseline triple is off.
Got to push here. Now he's got to get some guys running with Jennifer. Too slow here. Way too slow for Cincinnati.
Been like that most of the evening. Evans attacking. Gets the roll. Pierre-Louis, other end, rejected by Brooks, and that was all ball.
What a neat reaction there by Nasir Brooks. Out in transition, able to block that one quickly.
Lead is 6 for the Owls. Coming up Monday night on ESPN, it's the College Football Playoff National Championship game presented by AT&T. Alabama and Georgia from the ATL inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN and the ESPN app, and with a special Spanish language production on ESPN Deportes.
Hey, Roy, did you watch that Alabama-Clemson game?
I did watch it, yes.
You and me both. Just so you know, I'm a huge Dabo Swinney fan.
Right.
But how about Deron Payne, the 6'2", 308-pound defensive lineman there for Alabama? Not only did he intercept it, but he juked a guy to get some additional yards, and it turns around and in a 4-minute span gets a turnover there, an interception, jukes a dude, and then catches a touchdown.
Amazing.
6'2", 308.
And that's what it takes to win a national championship. Flackby inside extends the lead back to 8.
I've been really impressed, Roy, with his play tonight.
Yes.
On both ends of the floor.
24 and White getting it done. Cumberland will feed Brooks inside to Clark. And the whistle will yield a couple of free throws.
I've really enjoyed what I've seen from Ernest Flackby. He's getting better and better every game out. Watch him establish low post position here. Doesn't play around with the basketball. Waits until the cutter goes through. And then he just takes his time, spins to the baseline, gets a little space, and shoots that hook shot over the top. If he can continue to give them consistent inside play, now to open up the outside for their perimeter shooters to be able to knock down shots.
First made free throw of the second half for Cincinnati. Now 1 of 5 at the line. Make it 1 of 6. Flackby lost control but gets it back. Bearcats have also missed their last 9 3-point opportunities. Flackby. Good defense by Cincy. There was a timeout called. Let's see what the official call is. And the Bearcats will be awarded the timeout with possession.
Gary Clark doing a great job sacrificing his body, getting on the floor, coming up with that possession for Cincinnati.
Bearcats trail by 7. Mick Cronin will talk things over with his club one more time. Gary Clark, the top rebounders in the nation, has been held in check tonight. He's been in foul trouble. Preseason second team All AAC. He's progressively gotten better in his Cincinnati career. We mentioned earlier the outstanding fisherman going back to his high school days. He's a quiet leader for Coach Cronin, and perhaps they want a little bit more sometimes vocally, but you got Kyle Washington, who kind of handles the fiery component of this team. I think they're quite okay with what Gary brings to the table.
Yeah, a bit of fire and ice between those two guys, and second in the ACC and rebounding at, in the AAC, the American in rebounding at nearly 9 rebounds a game. Tied for 5th in steals at 2 a game, and I'm gonna have to talk to him about his math skills though, because that is not a 10-pound bass. But he loves fishing. I have to get him to teach me how.
7-point game. Nice. Baseline, that's a long 2. We'll make it a 5-point contest.
Jacob Evans is a leading scorer on this Cincinnati Bearcat team. If they're going to get back into the game, he's going to have to make some big shots, but at some point they got to get Gary Clark involved in the offense.
What's interesting, you frame it that way because it feels like the Bearcats are not in this game, but they only trail by 5. Evans now with 10. Echnionia can't connect. Brooks the rebound. It's been an up and down season for Temple. Wins over Clemson, Auburn, Wisconsin, South Carolina. They've lost 4 of their last 5. Routed at Georgia. Evans well short. Brooks tries to save it, but he sends it to Brown. Owls are winless in the American so far. A win tonight would be huge. Cumberland had it poked away.
Wow, another turnover for Cincinnati.
Controlled by Rose, who's still scoreless until now.
Love the patience there by Rose. Got to the free throw line area, did a little hesitation dribble, saw the C part and attack. That was beautiful.
Amazing. Leading scorer for the Owls. Quentin Rose scoreless before that last basket. Put back by Evans. Back to a 5-point game. Rose has been scoreless for most of the night, yet Temple has controlled this game really from the onset.
And part of that is because of the production that they've gotten from Echnionia, number 0 in white.
Last Cincinnati lead came 6 minutes in at 12-11. Sparse crowd tonight due to the bad weather in the area. Nearly 5 inches of snow fell throughout Philadelphia earlier today. Alston with 9 to shoot. Be picked up by Brooks. Step back triple.
Wow.
Echnionia on the offensive glass feeds Brown.
Didn't quite get that basketball in his hands properly to get a good touch on that thing. That's why it came off so hard and so flat.
4 minutes to go.
Jacob Evans, Gary Clark down the stretch. See how everyone's just standing? He has no room to operate.
Very stagnant on offense tonight are the Bearcats. Brooks inside. Point blank miss. Finally corralled. But a jump ball will be called. And the arrow favors Cincy. Bearcats trail by 5. 3:40 remaining. Saturday at noon Eastern, right here on the ESPN2 and the ESPN app. We'll have the FCS championship game between 13-1 North Dakota State, 14-0 James Madison. The JMU Dukes are the defending champs, while the Bison won the title 5 consecutive years before last season. Game will be played down in Frisco, Texas, inside Toyota Stadium. Dukes are 28-1 the last 2 seasons under head coach Mike Houston, who just signed a brand new 10-year contract, trying to build a dynasty in Harrisonburg, VA, my friend.
How about a member of our family, Lee Fitting, class of '96, one of the most famous Dukes of all time.
No doubt about it. Cumberland offensive foul. And the Flackby was ready and waiting. And Mick Cronin didn't like that call.
We were just talking about the impact that a Flack P has had on this game. He's been on the offensive glass, scoring in the post, sacrificing his body, getting on the floor, sacrificing it yet again, absorbing in charge.
And a timeout called by the Owls to avoid the 5-second call. Well, even in the turnovers department for the most part this evening between these two. Low scoring defensive slugfest. Mick Cronin, Fran Dunphy told us this morning that's exactly what they were expecting tonight. It's exactly what they've gotten, but Temple has been the aggressor for the most part thus far. Wichita State, a crushing win earlier tonight against Houston. We talked about it earlier too, Fonz. I think as many as 5 teams from this league could make the NCAA tournament. Wichita State's a lock. SMU, Cincy are all going to be there. And then that middle tier with UCF and BJ Taylor, Houston, Tulane has improved, and this Temple team, which technically would be on the bubble right now with the strong RPI. We'll see.
Yeah, I think 5 minimum will get in, and I think you nailed it. But how about the job Mike Dunleavy has done? Oh my gosh, with Tulane. I mean, they look like a completely different team when I watch them on tape, playing with a lot of confidence. Got a big win over Temple.
Right here in Philly. 5-point deficit for number 19 Cincinnati. Nine to shoot. Necchionia.
Now give him some room. Let him operate. Go to work, a Flack P.
Bounce pass looking for Rose. Nearly picked off. And the turnover as Rose was standing out of bounds.
Yeah, I thought a Flack P missed an opportunity. Kyle Washington would have had to be careful defensively because he's got 4 fouls. When the Flack P plays against him and gets it inside, he's got to wait, let the cutters go through, and make a quick, strong move to the basket. Missed opportunity there for the Owls.
When you think about these final 3 minutes, Cincinnati's won 5 in a row. It's been playing at a high level on both ends of the floor. Temple's lost 4 out of 5. Winning time for one of these teams. Let's see who steps up here.
It's got to be Jacob Evans, number 11 here with the ball. Got to give him some room to operate, though. And Washington.
Clark goes to work in traffic and one.
And Roy, this is the first time all night that Gary Clark has had room to operate. They were able to cut, give him some room, and when you give him some space inside, he's so clever and crafty, able to draw a foul here, an opportunity for an and one for number 11 in black. Got to continue to milk him, but give him space to operate.
Former defensive player of the year in this league with 7 points, make it 8, and a 1-possession game with under 3 to go. And here comes the 3-quarter court pressure by the Bearcats. Brown retreats. Necchionia help Brown set up the offense. You can feel Cincinnati's defensive tenacity ratchet up a couple of notches.
Yeah, just like Jennifer there, getting over that screen and not allowing the switch. That's a great call there.
Offensive foul will give it back to the Bearcats, and now a technical's been called. Roger Ayers talking with Fran Dunphy. The water bottle Fran Dunphy was holding came on the court. Roger Ayers saw it, immediately signaled for the technical foul.
Oh boy.
Oh, this has got a real chance here to change momentum.
There's no question about it.
And I've seen a lot of things in my day. I don't know that I've ever seen that.
Well, free throw opportunity here and possession.
I don't know if it slipped out of his hand, if it was an accident.
No, I couldn't see it. Yeah. Wow.
Well, that'll put Clark at the stripe. 83% this year Fran Dunphy saying he went to grab the bottle and apparently it fell down onto the floor. Ayers saw it out of the corner of his eye, and that's a technical foul.
Yes. Take a look and see if we can see it here. There's Coach Dunphy.
So he just basically swung his fist at it, and it popped out. And there it is all the way at half court. You saw it there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Clark makes 1 of 2 at the line to make it a 1-point game.
Yeah, and again, 2 free throws and the possession. Wow.
So Cincinnati with a chance now to take its first lead since it was 12-11.
And this is where your team has to maintain their composure, stay with what they've done defensively, try to get a stop. But for Cincinnati, Clark, Washington have to touch the rock.
Like Clark wants it, you can tell. He'll set the screen for Evans and get it right back. Skip pass, Cumberland attacking. Outside Washington, count it for 3. Bearcats back in front.
What a terrific read by Cumberland.
Cincinnati had missed 11 three-pointers in a row before that shot. First lead since we were 6 minutes into this one. Anecchionia.
Can't lose their aggressiveness, Temple.
Austin. And for as poorly as Cincinnati has played tonight with a 2-point lead and possession.
That was a big momentum shift. Now, again, you continue to work Clark, continue to work Washington. Those guys have been the hot ones, especially Washington.
Evans draws the trapping double team. Now here's Jennifer, 7 to shoot. Jennifer outside to Washington. He's had the hot hand. Back iron. Clark on the offensive glass. And a fresh 30.
Wow, the second best rebounder in the American comes up with a huge second possession for the Bearcats.
Owls don't need to foul. Cincinnati in the double bonus. Bearcats in the midst of a 12-2 run to try to close this one out. Six to shoot. Cumberland. Clark. Contact and a blocking foul. A Flackby whistled for his 3rd.
Yeah, and I don't like the call, but a Flackby never established legal guarding position, so that was a good call by the official.
We go back to the water bottle popping out on the court moments ago.
Watch Coach Dunphy here. The circles around him, folks, and he gets a little bit frustrated here and swings at the water bottle, knocks it on the floor. That's the right call by the official. Right in front of the official. Wow, 2 free throws and the possession. That was the momentum swing in this game.
Flackby just fouled out as well. So Temple seeing this win right in their grasp, being ripped away.
Yeah.
And a timeout on the floor as well. So with a Flackby fouling out, Lonnie Moore is going to check in for some more firepower on the perimeter. Meanwhile, Gary Clark has 2 free throws coming up and a chance to make this a 2-possession game, Fonz.
Yeah, and so if he makes both, then you got to get that basketball in. You expect to see some full court pressure from Cincinnati to slow them down. But with getting an additional guard on the floor, now Lonnie Moore and those guys have to look to attack to get that basketball up the floor. Look for a quick 2.
Fantastic finish coming up here. And don't forget, coming up tonight on SportsCenter tonight, over on ESPN after Arizona, Utah, the best in the West square off. We break down the Rockets' bid to take down the world champs minus James Harden. Plus, a deeper look at Nick Saban's approach to the news conference, all on SportsCenter. Linda Cohn, Kenny Mayne after Arizona, Utah, and of course, available on the ESPN app. A busy week in sports leading into the college football playoff national championship game next Monday. You got college basketball conference seasons heating up across the land. How about Trey Young for Oklahoma? Boy, that's a story we haven't talked about tonight. He's just taking the college basketball world by storm. leading scorer in the nation, leading assist man in the country as well.
I would love to play with that guy, because if you're open, he's going to find you. And yet if you need a tough 2 or tough 3, he has the capability of making them.
Putting Oklahoma basketball back on the map. A big miss by Clark.
Yeah, they've left some free throws out there tonight. 9 of 16 now from the foul line.
Clark 1 for 2, 3-point game.
One possession game here. Come down, run your offense. See if you can get an early thrust to the basket, but I think Onyeonye has to touch the ball here.
And he does. Corner triple. In and out. Brown on the offensive glass.
Still got time.
Shot clock is off. Quick triple. And a late whistle. 3 free throws coming for Alani Moore.
Wow. And you do not want to foul a three-point shooter ever, but particularly in that situation.
Let's see if his feet were on the line. He was well behind the three-point arc.
Yeah, way behind the three-point arc. And way to sell it over there in the corner, too.
Not 100% sure that that was a foul.
It's going to be interesting to see here. He's a 63% free throw shooter on the year.
Just his 9th free throw attempt of the season. Needs to make 2 more to tie it. Make it 1. When a game that's seen a lot of twists and turns. Moore kind of crashed into Cumberland.
Yeah, but at the same time, you got to protect the shooter and allow the shooter to be able to come down in his position.
So you make that call.
I think you got to make that call.
Well, timeout on the court. Moore has 1 more free throw attempt to try to tie this one up. Cincinnati, with the shot clock off, can play for the final attempt, at least in regulation.
Nice job icing the free throw shooter in this case. Again, only 63% or 67% on the year from the foul line. Make that 63. I was right the first time. And if he can make the shot here, then you just play the clock out. I'd like to see Cincinnati get that basketball into the hands of the guys who have gotten them there. Gary Clark, number 11, and Kyle Washington.
I think you got to find number 24 in black, Kyle Washington. He's been sensational tonight and really the only consistent offensive threat.
But the thing I like about it is both of them play very well off of each other. And so it's been Clark that's been making those high post passes to Kyle Washington on the inside. What you'll most likely see is they'll run the clock down a little bit, maybe look to attack, maybe around the 12-second mark if Temple doesn't come out and guard full court, which I would, by the way. And they'll get to some kind of high ball screen action and try to roll Kyle Washington.
Well, if you're just tuning in, the big call here in the last 2 minutes of game time, a technical foul on Fran Dunphy as he went to grab his water bottle, flung it on the court. It was a 1-possession game in favor of Temple at the time. Owls made 1 of 2 at the stripe, and then Washington hit a 3. So it was a 4-point possession that really swung momentum, and now Moore has a chance to try to tie it up.
This is where, as a shooter, you have to block every single thing out after you've just been iced and just go up there and get your little groove and let the thing fly.
And Moore, clutch, tie game. Shot clock is off.
Kyle Washington, Gary Clark.
Bearcats out of timeouts in the double bonus. 8 seconds. Screen for Evans, a leading scorer. Against Brown. Evans.
Oh!
0.4 seconds remain. And a timeout for Temple.
Well, Roy, we talked about a high ball screen kind of action there. And what they did is they rolled Gary Clark out of there, creating a one-on-one isolation situation from the top with Jacob Evans. And we talked about the decisions that he makes with the basketball. He gives him a little rock step between the legs here and a little hezzy to freeze him. Watch this. And then pulls up going to his right. What a beautiful play by Jacob Evans. That was clutch.
right on his scoring average with his 13th and 14th points of the night on one of the biggest shots of this season for Cincinnati.
See where the ball clears the net here. So should be 0.5 or 0.4 here on the clock.
Well, and that's significant as well. At 0.3 or less, you really don't have a legitimate opportunity to be able to get off a shot. What a win this would be for Mick Cronin's club on the road. They've led for just over 3 minutes of this entire game. They've trailed throughout. And this is what veteran teams led by seniors do.
Yeah, and Fran Dunphy usually pretty poised, and the game changer was knocking that water on the floor. They were up 2 at that time, and wow, what a devastating loss this will be for Temple if they can't score here.
The Owls need to go the full length of the floor. Really no time for a bounce, catch and shoot situation. And it's got to be quick.
They'll throw it to Enechionya, trying to get it to him at the top.
Here's Brown, and Enechionya, the turnaround. Air ball, and Cincinnati does it on the road, improving to 3-0 in the American. A comeback win, 55-53 the final.
I mean, Kyle Washington, Gary Clark, their lead frontline guys in foul trouble. Cumberland not able to get involved in the offense, and what a gutty comeback from Cincinnati to be able to win a tough one on the road.
Owls will fall to 7-7, 0-3 in the AAC. And the hero tonight is Jacob Evans III, the junior from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
What a play. Little rock dribble to isolate him. Screen and little roll action to give him a little isolation opportunity at the top of the key. And what a move to get to his right and knock that shot down.
Well, the Bearcats in a season averaging more than 80 points per game, built on offense at times. Tonight, it was the defense and the late shot by Jacob Evans. 55-53 the final. Coming up next, college basketball live. So long from Philly. We taping this, Aaron? Fonz. Yep. I'll go first, then you go.
You bet.
We'll alternate.
You got it.
Is that good?
Yep, sorry.
Heck of a shot, bro.